Well, hello. So my name is Ann Westrick, and today is day 79 of the Richmond Public Library's 100 Days RVA Reads. It's a program promoting PBS and WCVE's The Great American Reads. Okay, so today I am at Bouchal Middle School in Richmond. And I visited here 2 years ago. At that time, I read from my own book, which is Brotherhood. But today I'm not reading from my book. Today I'm reading to you from The Giver by Lois Lowry, because this is one of my all-time favorite reads. And it was on the list of the Great American Reads. So this is the story of a boy named Jonas, who is 11 years old, and of his younger sister. So I have it all marked up because I'm going to read selections. All right? Okay. In chapter 1, we learn that Jonas lives in a really strange community with a lot of rules, and there's this requirement that everyone has to report their feelings. Okay, so I'm going to start with a scene where this is Jonas's father reporting. Okay? His father described a feeling of worry that he'd had that day at work, a concern about one of the new children who wasn't doing well. Jonas's father's title was nurturer. He and the other nurturers were responsible for all the physical and emotional needs of every new child during its earliest life. It was a very important job, Jonas knew, but it wasn't one that interested him very much. "What gender is it?" Lily asked. "Male," said Father. "He's a sweet little male with a lovely disposition, but he isn't growing as fast as he should, and he doesn't sleep soundly. We have him in the extra care section for supplementary nurturing, but the committee is beginning to talk about releasing him." "Oh no," Mother murmured sympathetically. "Oh, I know how sad that must make you feel." Jonas and Lily both nodded sympathetically as well. Release of new children was always sad because they hadn't had a chance to enjoy life within the community yet, and they hadn't done anything wrong. There were only 2 occasions of release, which were not punishment. Release of the elderly, which was a time of celebration for a life well and fully lived, and release of a new child, which always brought a sense of, what could we have done? This was especially troubling for the nurturers like Father, who felt they had failed somehow. Okay, now I'm going to jump a little bit. We're going to learn about Jonas's mother. She had a prominent position at the Department of Justice. And today, a repeat offender had been brought before her, someone who had broken the rules before, someone who she hoped had been adequately and fairly punished, and who had been restored to his place, to his job, his home, his family unit. To see him brought before her a second time caused her overwhelming feelings of frustration and anger, and even guilt, that she hadn't made a difference in his life. "I feel frightened, too, for him," she confessed. "You know that there's no third chance. The rules say that if there's a third transgression, he simply has to be released." Jonas shivered. He knew it happened. There was even a boy in his group of 11s whose father had been released years before. No one ever mentioned it. The disgrace was unspeakable. It was hard to imagine. Okay. So this is a world, right, where everything is kind of strange, where people who are old or sick or who have broken the rules get released, right, and they're never to be seen again. Okay, now the author gives us a scene where Jonas, as a boy, was bewildered by something. Okay, so and I'm going to read you that scene. Jonas probably should have brought up his feeling of bewilderment that very evening when the family unit had shared their feelings of the day, but he had not been able to sort out and put words to the source of his confusion, so he had let it pass. It had happened during the recreation period when he had been playing with Asher. Well, Jonas had casually picked up an apple from the basket where the snacks were kept and had thrown it to his friend. Asher had thrown it back, and they had begun a simple game of catch. Well, there had been nothing special about it. It was an activity that he had performed countless times. Throw, catch, throw, catch. It was effortless for Jonas and even boring, though Asher enjoyed it, and playing catch was a required activity for Asher because it would improve his hand-eye coordination, which was not up to standards. But suddenly Jonas had noticed, following the path of the apple through the air with his eyes, that the piece of fruit had, well, this was the part that he couldn't adequately understand. The apple had changed. Oh, just for an instant. It had changed in mid-air, he remembered. Then it was in his hand, and he looked at it carefully, but it was the same apple, unchanged. The same size and shape, a perfect sphere. The same nondescript shade, about the same shade as his own tunic. There was absolutely nothing remarkable about that apple. He had tossed it back and forth between his hands a few times, then thrown it again to Asher, and again in the air for an instant. Only it had changed. The change happened 4 times. Okay? All right, I'm going to jump to one more little moment in this book just to make you curious about everything that's happening in this. There's going to be a ceremony in this story where all the children in this community who are 11 years old and they're turning 12 are given assignments. So this assignment is what their job is going to be when they are adults. And Jonas gets a very strange assignment. He's told he is to become the receiver of memory. And he meets with an old man who tells him, "My job is to transmit to you all the memories I have within me, memories of the past." "Well, sir," Jonas said tentatively, "I would be very interested to hear the story of your life and to listen to your memories." The man shook his head. No. He said, "I'm not being clear. It's not my past, not my childhood that I must transmit to you." He rested his head against the back of the upholstered chair. "It's the memories of the whole world," he said with a sigh. "Before you, before me, before the previous receiver and generations before him." Jonas frowned. "The whole world?" he asked. "I don't understand." And so soon the old man, who is the giver, gives Jonas the memory of snow, because no one in this community has any memory of snow. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and I hope I have made you curious. I have to tell you again, all 100 books of the Great American Read are available at your branch of Richmond Public Library. And to find out where the next reading is, go to this website, rvalibrary.org/100days. So you can click on it. There's a map. It shows you where each reader is going to be. So there's a map like today that says Ann Westrick is going to be here at Bouchal Middle School. So thank you for being great listeners. And I am